The Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay. All right. Welcome to the show. I am your host, private investigator Ed Hoffman. We're giving you one last update on Hurricane Milton and my personal experience with Hurricane Milton, and that's it. I don't want to hear about it again. First thing I want to get out there to you is, especially when I did the first recording and I put it out there, and then I put many posts up in social media, asking people not to continuously contact me about if I'm okay. Ed, please leave. Please, Ed, please evacuate. When I go to that extent to go to so much effort to really ask you to please stop, that's I do that for a reason, because it's overwhelming, especially when you're putting up sandbags and you're running around, you're trying to put up tarps and stuff like that, and then you're getting these constant messages from, listeners and stuff like that. And I love you all. Great. I appreciate your concern. But, I have my own things in real life that I need to communicate with people in real life. And it's kind of like when you have situations where, these first responders and you have volunteers, trying to get in there and help out. Or like, all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty together again. What are those horses doing? Okay, clearly those horses were just in the way, okay? They're not going to be able to put a Humpty Dumpty back on a wall, a horse. So I beg you, if this ever happens to me again, okay, please, on all that is holy, please stop the messages. I appreciate your advice. You want me to evacuate? Okay, thank you. I took your advice. Anyway, so let me tell you what happened with the storm. First of all, I am exhausted. My whole body is just like beaten with a baseball bat. Exhausted. I got up early yesterday morning to get the final preparation, the final supplies, and the final tarp I needed, and the final sandbags and stuff like that. Get all this stuff in place. And so by the time, I passed out last night, 10 o'clock at night during the hurricane. Okay. But by then, it had become clear that the major threat was over. It was heading right toward me. It wound up hitting about 150 miles south of me. Thank God for that. But we did get the majority of the winds hit us here where I am. Okay. Plus, I have family and friends I got to take care of too. You got to consider my own personal life here, guys. So the plan was, when I moved into this place, I have an enclosed, screened porch. And right beyond that porch, about 5 feet downhill, is an incline. We have a lagoon, like a man-made lagoon, okay? And there's otters and turtles and frogs and stuff like that all in this lagoon. There's plenty of ducks and geese, better scurry, all around here, And what they do is, when there's going to be a storm coming, they drain the lagoon into the public sewage, sewer drains. They have to drain it a couple of feet. And then once it gets to a certain level, and they can't drain it a second time, because if they open up the drain, the sewage will actually come back in and raise the level. So, the last couple of storms, it's never overflowed before, but the last couple of storms we've had, it's overflowed. Okay, and last night it overflowed. And it was so dark out, and I had put this tarp up. Okay, well, I'll get to the tarp in a minute. But it was so dark out, and I couldn't even, the flashlight wasn't even helping through the glass windows and stuff like that, and through the screens. It had overflowed, and it was getting toward my patio there, my screened-in patio, even though I had sandbags up, and I had taken all kind of precautions with that. But a couple of times, like an optical illusion, I thought this thing was ready to come in the house. But thank God it did not. Another thing we got really lucky with, another little miracle we had, was that the storm drains in the parking lot was totally covered in debris. They could not drain through those storm drains. But because we were spared the majority of the rain, Otherwise, my car would have been under 3 feet of water. So we got spared with that too. So my plan was to put this tarp up over the screen to keep water out and keep debris out of my little patio there. And when I moved in here, the previous owner, who was like this real do-it-yourself character kind of guy, he's a little do-it-yourself nonsense he did around here. Okay, more trouble than it's worth, And he had put these hooks in the ceiling, and I says, oh, look at that. Those hooks are perfect for a tarp with those grommets. I'll put the tarp up there to keep the water. That's probably what he did. So I had all this planned out. I ordered some tarps from Amazon. They're still not here yet. Okay, they're coming tomorrow. Thank God for them. But the thing is when I went to start putting I went to Home Depot, got some tarps. But when I went to start putting the tarps up, all the hooks were falling out of the ceiling. So that plan was, right away wasn't a great plan, not a great hurricane preparation like the experts around here, which everybody seems to be an expert. But I was able to rig some things, and get the tarp up. It looked ridiculous, but it was up there and it was very secured. Because I have all kinds of preparation stuff anyway. I have an emergency kit and I have a first aid kit, and I got all kinds of, paracord, all kind of stuff, but I'm very prepared. People think I'm asleep over here. Trust me, I'm not, And by the way, too, I was talking in my last report about how I had this insurance report about how my building was hurricane ready for the insurance company. It's called a wind mitigation report. I got a lot of people, Ed, what kind of report do you have? It's called a wind mitigation report. So I knew this structure was capable of taking 110, 120 mile per hour winds, without concerns. And we did. We didn't lose a single shingle on this building here. And a couple of times last night, I heard some big branches hit the side of my house here. So, it's stressful. It's scary, especially with the news media, and they're telling you all this stuff is going to happen. Well, you know how many people sent me that video of that weatherman crying, begging me, Ed, please evacuate. Part of the problem with the evacuation is because the west side of Florida, the Gulf, the Tampa Bay area, which is where it was projected to hit, and then they were claiming was going to be Category 5, it's going to be 20-foot storm surges. And by the way, even if there were, I'm 37 feet up over sea level. But the thing is people panic, and people in areas of Florida, like Orlando and stuff like that, where it was it was just a bad storm. It was like a Category 1 by that time. They're all evacuating, out of panicking and evacuating. So they clog up the highways and stuff like that. So, and then people say, well, why can't you open up both ends of the highways going north? Because there's emergency equipment coming south and workers coming south, which is a whole nother thing. See, what happens is when these hurricanes hit, thousands of these cherry pickers, these linemen to fix the power stuff, to fix the phone lines, to fix the power lines, come flooding into town. These are subcontractors from out of state. And they pay these guys a fortune, like $1,000 a day, man. These guys are making a fortune. And they put them up in these motels down here, and they come down. And then just think, they're doing these quickie on-site repairs and upgrades, with a little bit of rain coming and wind and stuff like that. They got another one. They're in a rush. They're not doing quality work when they come down and do this. And they're spending a ton of money on this. See, and I suspect why they do it this way is because they get some kind of federal emergency aid to pay for that. Where instead what they should do is they should have a higher 10% of these guys, have them live down here, put them up in some good housing that's hurricane proof so they don't have to worry about where they live and stuff like that, and have them do this maintenance and upgrades year round. And then when the hurricane hits, they're here already. But I think that would come out of the pocket of the power companies, whereas bringing these guys all in, and throwing $100 million at them, is paid by the FEMA and federal government emergency aid, which is what I think is going on. And it's just the obvious scam. You know what I mean? It's just the obvious con on this kind of job. So, so a lot of this stuff could be prevented. A lot of this stuff could be avoided. So much of this could be avoided and prevented. Like there was a ton of debris from Hurricane Helena, which was 10 days ago. It was on people's front lawns for weeks and weeks. Well, not weeks and weeks, it was only 10 days, but for 10 days. And then DeSantis says, well, I'm sending a caravan of dump trucks down there 24 hours before the next storm. Give me a break, man. You could do this stuff in advance. So anyway, there's a lot of chaos and confusion around all this kind of stuff down here. And the idea that these locals, say, well, it's just a hurricane. I survive these things all the time. Well, maybe, you shouldn't tolerate this. You should demand better services and better infrastructure, better drainage. It's not rocket science, sewer system. It's not rocket science, Like even the situation we have with the lagoon back here. Okay, man, rent a pump, rent a generator with a pump and pump that water into the storm drains. It's not genius, So anyway, I had the place all prepped yesterday, and I made an educated decision. And once again, when I say I'm making an educated decision, it's not just based on watching TV, watching CNN, okay, and watching Anderson Cooper stand in front of a river he doesn't even know what he's standing in front of, okay? I have resources. Okay, you listen to me for 10, 11 years. You don't realize I'm a capable person with resources. I know people in the mayor's office. I just moved here. Okay, so I have information at my disposal. Okay, oh my God, it's just crazy. So what do you call it? Okay, so I made an educated decision. I looked at my wind management, whatever that thing's called, that report. Wind mitigation report. Okay, and I knew that my condo could handle Category 4. I got the sandbags, and I had my preparation and my food and supplies and water and stuff like that. And by the way, too, they did shut off the water. They shut off the water last night at midnight. And they shut off the sewage, too. Okay? So you couldn't even flush your toilet. And then now the water's back on, but they say you have to boil your water. So now what I'm trying to explain to a couple of my neighbors over here is that means even your ice cubes, okay? If water is coming through this system and it's making ice cubes, that's polluted water in your ice right now. You got to use old ice cubes before they turned off the water. But they don't seem to understand. Okay, what do you want us to boil the ice cubes then? No, I want you to use older ice cubes, you idiot. It's just amazing. People are so stupid. So anyway, I saw last night that it was going to hit south of us. It wasn't going to be that bad. We didn't have to worry about the storm surge. I just had to worry about the rain and the high winds. Okay, and trust me, there's a lot of debris on the roads. Where I normally park my car, a big giant palm tree was right by that car. Okay, I posted some pictures on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, and stuff like that of what the conditions are around here. And then I got up this morning and I found out that the water pressure was off. Even though I used the dirty water for my contact lens, I didn't realize at the time. No damage. Power never went off. Internet went off for about a half hour. Went back on. My phone's not working. Cell phone service isn't working right now. I can text, but I can't make phone calls and receive phone calls. But I'm getting by with Skype with that. And then, by the way, I taped 2 great shows yesterday. One about the Flint water crisis, another one that was Greg Palast about election shenanigans, as we like to call it, and Vigilante Inc. is the name of his new film. So, get up this morning, the water is off, came back on, you got to boil it now. I got some kind of leak, too. There was water in my kitchen. It's clean water. It's not sewage water. It's rainwater. It must have got into a crack in the door or something like that, or it seems to be some kind of leak underneath the dishwasher. So we're going to take care of all of that. But no crisis, no life-threatening stuff like that. It was never life-threatening. Okay, this whole thing from beginning to end. Not here where I am. And I know a lot of people still don't have electricity, but I think that's going to be rectified shortly. From what I understand, most of those electronic repairs is just transformers that get damaged and can easily, and they're old, outdated to begin with. They needed replacing before the storm. Okay, it's from what I understand. I'm not a lineman. I'm not a utilities guy. I'm just telling you what from what I hear from people that know. Hey, so let's see. What am I leaving out? I don't think I'm leaving out that much. Okay, so that's what the situation is here. We still have like 60,000 people displaced from Helena. And so there's no hotels down here now. There's very little gas people get around and stuff like that. And there's a lot of debris in the roads and streets and stuff like that. But it definitely dodged a bullet. It wasn't as bad as all the predictions were. And so just keep in mind, too, that people that are local and familiar with things have a better understanding of when to evacuate and when not to evacuate than people living in other countries. Yeah, they don't even understand what hurricane season is. Yeah. So there's all that. Now, I will be able to broadcast a live show tomorrow night. I'm going to do part 3 of 11 Years a Slave. Just going over my previous shows. It's been a very popular series. People had no idea all the stuff I've been involved with over the last 11 years. Telling little stories, behind-the-scenes stuff. I got some notes on that. Plus, I'll be talking about some hurricane stuff. Some P. Diddy stuff. P. Diddy today is 2 o'clock. He had a second bite at the apple, a second bail hearing, which is outrageous and unusual. You got one bail hearing, and then he appealed it the next day, which is unusual. And then now, less than 10, 15 days later, he's got another bail hearing. You can only have a second bail hearing if you can demonstrate a change in circumstances. I can't imagine what his change of circumstances are in such a short time when he's got this huge multi-million-dollar legal team. So we'll see what that is when that comes out. We'll discuss that. I taped another show about Kurt Cobain and the investigation into the death of Kurt Cobain. So people, and it's in Patreon right now. I get a lot of exclusive information in there. And plus, we're going to be putting up a PDF document and some tapes, too, along with it. You know what? I should add that to Patreon right now. I should. But I'm just still so exhausted from all this. So hopefully tomorrow I'll have a lot of energy for you, and we'll get into all this stuff. And a little more hurricane talk, and we'll go over the 11 years stuff. And whatever else. And I forgot again, I should have had some music prepared, but I do not. I'll play the same song I played yesterday. Not that I'm getting lazy or anything like that. Okay, never, God forbid, that I would get a little lazy after 11 years of abuse. No, not Ed Hoffman. Oh, my God. All right, guys. Listen, thank you once again for your concern. Trust me, I love you, too. I know you love me. I love you, too. I do. Okay? All I'm saying is when people are busy in a crisis, it's not the best time to be reaching out to them with advice and concerns. Okay? You know what I mean? When I got one arm trying to put a tarp up and I got to check my messages.
Riders on the storm, riders on the storm. Into this house we're born, into this world we're thrown. Like a dog without a bone, an actor out alone. Riders on the storm, there's a killer on the road. His brain is squirming like a toad. Take a long holiday, let your children play. gotta love your man. Take him by the hand, make him understand. The world on you depends, our life will never end. Gotta love your man. Yeah. Riders on the storm, riders on the storm. Into this house we're born, into this world we're thrown. Like a dog without a bone, an actor out on loan. Riders on the storm.